Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Terrorists! Terrorize this.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
Greetings, free thinkers, zombie hunters, revolutionaries, and preppers. It is Monday, October 7th, 2011. You have found yourself, hopefully, with your affairs in order, here on the front lines in this war on our humanity. I'm your host, Darren Stone, broadcasting to you live from the darkest part of the country at the moment we affectionately call FEMA Region 1. 917-889-3064 is the number to call in the show. All callers are welcome. 917-889-3064. Been on a little bit of a hiatus. We've had some power issues up here in FEMA Region 1 due to the ridiculous Halloween blizzard. Me personally, I was out of power for 5 days. Not that big of a deal, although I learned a lot again. But there are some people up here that are still out of power. But before I get into that, I'll tell that tale later in the show. First, what we're going to do is I have the front official eye in the sky. No, eye towards the sky. Astronomer Francis Walsh will be joining us in a couple seconds here. He is in the chat room as Cosmic Obsession. If anybody wants to say hi to Francis. Let's see. Before I get going, before I grab Francis, let me just say this. I have been gone for 14 days. It's been 2 weeks since I've done a show. A combination of power outages and wear and tear. But we're back. I'm back, and we will continue on from here. Before we get rolling, I want to let everybody know, head over to frontradio.net. Not just because it's my website, but it's a pretty kick-ass website, really. Tons of information, my daily news posts, plus news feeds for survival and prep. Also, there's a feed from Natural News, all your health news there. And we have a special button. I don't know. I'll have to ask Francis if he's checked this out. On my website, there's a Live Earth and Tools button on the menu on the top. If you hit that, I promise it's one of the most comprehensive, all-together, real-time Earth, space, weather data. Check out that page. No, really, we've done a search all over the internet. It's probably one of the best pages for that stuff. I mean, you have magnetosphere live, you have SOHO satellites live, you have earthquakes live, volcanoes live. Hawaii Telescope Live. You have Solar System 3D. You have police scanners. I mean, it's a plethora of weather and space info. All right, and once you get done with that, you can head over to the Front's YouTube page. Just a little button, hit it, YouTube, the Front. Also, if you're a Facebooker, like us on Facebook. Just search the Front. If you're a Twitter, it's the Front with an O, the zero for the O. And also, when you get all done with that stuff, check out Orion Talk Radio on Facebook and oriontalkradio.com. It is a radio network I used to be a part of. I still enjoy the network. I'm not part of the network anymore, my choice. But they have a lot of great programming, and they're getting better and better all the time. So check that out, Orion Talk Radio Network. All right, so before I bring Francis on, let me just play this clip real fast, 38 seconds. Just want a reminder for everybody, or give everybody a reminder to, hold on, wait for it, people, wait for it. Oh, God, I have such a massive library of sound bites here. Oh, there it is. Check it out, and then we'll bring Francis on.
It's as big as an aircraft carrier, and it's coming our way. And now the asteroid YU-55 is close enough to get a picture of it. It's going to pass closer to the Earth than the Moon is, closer than anything has come since 1975. Scientists promise it won't make impact, though it's always good to have your affairs in order. It is good to have your affairs in order. All right, so I just wanted to play that little ditty there from Brian Williams on NBC News saying, it's good to have your affairs in order. It's my new slogan now. All right, let me grab Francis. Let's see here. Conferencing the man in. And should be there. And are we there, Francis? We have you.
We are here. Have you had me? Do you have me? Are you going to have me?
I have you.
All right. Hey, what's
I've had you before, and I'm going to have you again.
Man, shut up. Get out of here. Anyways, listen, who was that? Brian Jennings? What was that guy? Who was that?
That's Brian Williams, NBC News. You know, primetime news.
My God, we should have our affairs in order. Yes, we should have our bills paid, 90 days of dry goods in the pantry, a water barrel, a bug-out bag, a lovely wife, and a kid. That's where I'm at. How about you?
I've got pretty much the same thing going over here.
So don't let Brian fool you. Your affairs should be in order already. We're just going to tell you how you may be fooled by these little interruptions of peace and reality, because that was just a joke.
I know, kind of crazy, right? I mean, what kind of message does that send?
That sends a message, like I was saying before to someone. It is answering the questions for all the people who are wondering if the world is going to end. Honestly, it's being geared toward a group of the populace who just can't find it within themselves to see nature is as it is, and it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. You know, that's what I found out through my research, that in this case, you know, that little blurb of aircraft carriers and affairs in order basically is a report on a non-event. And in honesty, it's been a non-event since at least 2010, when they first, you know, put radar on it, got their first images, and found out where it was going to be in 2011.
And this event that we are referring to, for you, those of you who don't know, is the approach of asteroid YU-55, right?
Right. The official name would be 2005 YU-55, an asteroid that is 400 meters across, which makes it technically the size of an aircraft carrier. But I mean, who really uses those phrases? You must be trying to speak to someone who can't figure out what that size of an object is. I find that the reports on the object are quite elementary, and it's a shame, because they have a perfect opportunity to teach us how to find out for ourselves better about what's going on out in space, especially, in my opinion, since these events that are occurring are non-lethal or non-catastrophic, or, it seems like this year, I started in January, there was 5 objects on the radar, on my personal radar. When I said, it looks like we're getting a lot of news about objects in space, there was Comet Elenin, there was Comet Honda, there was YU-55. I'm missing one name because it happened back in March. Before I even got my name straight, it had come and gone already.
Okay.
And then the next one is the close approach of Comet Levy in January of 2012. But right now we're on YU-55. YU-55's orbital path, which is, i.e., where it goes from there to here and past, has been known. I mean, now there may be a reason to do more research, but there is no reason to fall off the bandwagon, my friend. Not in my opinion. And I see people falling off the bandwagon left and right.
What do you mean by falling off the bandwagon, Francis?
They are either creating scenarios that instill a false sense of wonder, fear, and in the end, what I said about this report, this news report, is that these reports are speaking to the wrong side of the discussion, because in all actuality, the orbital path of the object is already known. So how do we go from knowing what something is to saying it's not what we already know it to be? It's like going from a round world back in Sumeria to a flat world when we were in Spain to a round world later. Somewhere in between, there is some reason by people other than myself to get just grand stories made up about somewhat ordinary things. Listen, if we didn't have all the technology we did right now, we wouldn't know the thing was going by, and it would be more ordinary than it is right now. Because we can see what's going on out in space and more people can see it, that's a good thing, and we know more. But to me, over this whole year, the storyline is how much fear and fire can you fan from a story? And, now with these mainstream reports, honestly, they don't even give the public any time to do research, because, look, tomorrow, these little blurbs are coming out over the last 5 days. For someone, for a total neophyte who has no idea about astronomy, they couldn't get from that report to an honest interpretation of what's really going on out there in that short amount of a time.
Right.
So they're doing a disservice. They're they're answering the questions from the people who are making up stories about somewhat ordinary. But I hate to use the word ordinary. People are going to say, "Oh, it's far from ordinary. Oh, it's round." And Richard says there might be, Richard Hoagland, my friend, Richard Hoagland, has different interpretation of the possibilities of its orbital path. But I cannot go there with Richard Hoagland. You know why? Because they looked at the orbits that they started last year, and they just took a new reading, on the 4th of October, and the object, i.e. the orbital path, has changed a whole 200 meters over a year's time. So back a year ago, they could have told you where the object was this year, and it was only 200 meters different than what the real, as the object gets closer, you get better readings. Right. So it gets refined. But we're not talking, all of a sudden it's 50,000 miles off course. We're talking about 200 meters out in space. Richard Hoagland and people might want to say, we have a great possibility that something might happen. But with that idea, you have to put in a lot of possibility. But what's telling me in 200 meters apart after a year that those readings just eliminated a whole lot of that possibility. So for me, going to come, fly by, not be too bad. Now, people might want to know where they can go out and see it and what's going to happen. First off, tomorrow night, it's going to be a full moon. The full moon is going to impede amateur astronomers and observers from seeing the asteroid, which is at around 11 magnitude. Okay, our naked eyes stop the ability. We cannot see with our naked eyes anything over 6 magnitude, so it's almost twice as dim as we need to be with our naked eyes to see.
Okay.
So someone might say, well, what if I got binoculars? Are my eyes better with binoculars? Yes, your eyes are better with binoculars at 11 magnitude, but we have the issue of a full moon straight up in the sky about the time that we're going to start looking.
If we could see it, what would it look like? Would it have a tail? Would it be bright?
No.
Is it reflecting any light, or is it just going to be a spot moving across the sky?
Okay, we'll go right to the telescope. I'm going to go out and try to hit it with the I'm going to go out and try to use a telescope, one of the rental telescopes that I use, and take pictures of it. And what it's going to do, what the telescope is going to do, is it's going to add exposure. Like a camera, it's going to open a shutter and it's going to leave it open for longer than what our eyes can do.
Right.
Okay, and what that is it absorbs more light. It's very faint. It's a dark object. It must take light from the sun and reflect it back on the earth. It does not have a tail. It's a solid object. Right. Apparently, reportedly, its shape is spherical in nature. Some people find that unnatural. My opinion is the universe is so big, there is no room for quote-unquote normal. Okay? We'll never see everything that we need to see before we can put things in normal or not. It's just a time and a place. All right,
let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a spherical asteroid yet?
I believe, and I could get this wrong. I believe one of the other ones that we're looking at, one of the other ones close by, and I don't know if it's Vesta. I could be wrong. So I'm going to say yes, but I don't know the exact name, and I don't know if it's Vesta or not. There are spherical. It's not a basketball. It's spherical. We're going to know more about it when it goes by because they're taking radar images of it. My viewpoint, what I have seen, is still an amateur's viewpoint. I have not seen of it what others have seen of it. I have not taken pictures of it myself. So for me to say that, what I wanted to say, though, is in my understanding of the size and scope of the universe, I hate to put normal on anything. I don't even like to put normal on people because they can be so different in the end. You know? Normal is a relative word, and just because it's spherical, I personally don't find anything dramatically, people want to think, oh, that makes it a spaceship. Richard Hoagland thinks it's Death Star or whatever. That's, what happens to the men and the women who hope for but never achieve their goals? I don't know. Richard Hoagland's been hoping for something to happen for 28 years, okay? Myself personally, I've seen the path he's taken. Myself personally, if I'm going to spend 28 years doing this, I'm going to take a different path and go for a different understanding of the world around me.
I see what you mean.
So that I feel good about my research, because if I was shooting for every alien rock flying by, and that's, I throw that term around loosely. That was just glib. There's no alien rock. It is alien. It's a piece of rock, and it's flying by. But, I think that's where the definition stops. And some other folks want to make a definition of lengthy alien-ese, like legalese. They like to make a whole brief on something that deserves a few sentences, very terse, short, tell us what it is, where it's going to be, and then let's get out of here and let's move on, because there's a lot more interesting things out in space, too.
Right. Well, I think, I don't really think you can blame people. It's more like the hope that you're referring to, I think, is more of like a fantasy or imagining or wanting to see something spectacular, Yeah. And which I personally, I fall into that category sometimes, and I can't blame people for it. It's when you're talking about, like you just said, there is no normal in space. There can't be a normal because it's so vast, it's so undiscovered. There's so many things that are out there. It's the same. In one aspect, you can say, these people hope for and that's the path that they took. But on the other hand, there are no guarantees here either. We are on a rock hurling through space, and really anything can happen.
Right. I think what I got from that was, wow, Francis, I'm a little cynical at times, I think.
No, I'm not. I'm just giving another side of the coin here. That's all.
No, I understand, and I have a lot of empathy, and I think I'm trying to find the best way to deliver my information in a certain way, and not, and be able to encompass everybody's opinion. But when I try to come out and say it, it does come out kind of terse and short, because I think it's the best way, and that's why I started it off. Nobody was giving it to me in the way that I would give it out, I guess, and that's why I ended up doing this whole process, and this is where we're at.
Well, Francis, I just look at you as a guy who gives us the facts as you know them without embellishing anything.
Yeah, because I need them for myself. Yeah.
Right.
Listen, let me do something. I did a report earlier, and I don't know if the listeners want to hear it, but I want to try to tell them where the thing is in the sky and at what time that they might go out and want to look at it.
That was my next question for you. So yes.
Okay, let me see if I can find this. Okay, I'm just gonna. Here we go. The asteroid YU-55 is going to pass by the Earth on Tuesday evening at 6:28 p.m. in New York, and then by the Moon Wednesday morning at 2:14 a.m. So see, it passes by Earth in the evening at 6:28, and then by the Moon at 2:14 a.m. Wednesday. We got a Tuesday-Wednesday event going on. There is going to be an opportunity to observe the asteroid that starts at sunset on Tuesday night and goes until the break of dawn on Wednesday in the United States. Anything before or after that, you will need some research-grade equipment to try and see it. Now, I said that kind of, even when you're out there during those times, you're going to be lucky. So you got to have a little luck in your blood if you're going to go out there and try to take a picture of it. After the sun sets on Tuesday, you will want to look for the stars that will pull you into the area to look for the asteroid. Start by finding the stars Altair and Enif. Now, I don't go into an explanation of telling you how to find them, but Altair is very bright and almost straight up in the sky. And then you'll look for Enif, and then from Altair to Enif is the direction it's going to be heading. And from Enif, it heads and goes to find the stars Markab and Sheet.
Okay. Are these parts of constellations that people might know?
They are, but I didn't write down the associations.
Okay.
So I've got four, star names. Altair.
Can you spell these, Francis?
Yes. Altair. Altair.
Okay.
Altair is the first one we're looking for, and then it's going to head toward Enif. Enif.
Enif. Okay.
And then from Enif, and these are the important two. The stars Markab, Markab, and Sheet, Scheat. Okay, so it goes from Altair to Enif, and then it goes in between Markab and Sheet. That's why I gave you those two. Markab and Sheet are close by each other up there, and the asteroid heads in between those two. Starts at Altair, goes to Enif, heads in between Markab and Sheet on its way toward the moon. And you'll see, it happens over a whole night. So the stars will start off in one place in the sky, and then they'll move across the sky, and they'll end up in a different spot in the sky when you stop looking. And the asteroid is actually kind of moving against the grain towards the moon.
All right.
Okay. Let's see.
So if I go out there tomorrow night at about 6:15 and start looking up in the sky with my binoculars, and I find Altair, because I'll use my little Star Walk app on my iPhone. It'll point it right out to me.
You'll be pointing southwest.
Okay.
That's what you want to do. Find Altair, and then the next one is off to your left a little bit, going toward the southeast, which is Enif.
Okay.
And then once you get to Enif, a little bit more to the southeast will be Markab and Sheet. See how it's moving from a southwest to a southeast direction. But see, the sky rotates during the night, so it actually kind of rotates with it. But when you first start, if you were to find those four stars, you'll see that it moves from southwest, a little higher in the sky, down toward the southeast direction.
Okay.
Where the moon is generally.
Yes, okay. I'm looking up at my ceiling right now and kind of pointing with my finger. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to be looking tomorrow. That's all.
Yeah.
So
if you can face yourself to the southwest tomorrow night, look up in the sky and point to Altair with your right hand, and then just sweep your left hand out toward the left. That'll be the general direction.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that. It'll be moving out from right to left in front of us if you point to the southwest. And it's high in the sky, like 60 degrees.
All right. I have a question in chat. Are you looking for people with telescopes to watch?
I am. I have what we have, because I had two shows with Richard Hoagland. Richard Hoagland was a great guest. Listened to everything he had to say. I put in a couple of pointed questions, and we moved on. He asked me to observe and go out and he gave me a name of a couple of his astronomers, which I connected with, and then I got a bunch of my friends on my Facebook and on YouTube. So we have about 50 people all around the world. I'll tell you, my clouds are bad. Cosmic Obsession is not going to take pictures from our big telescope in Texas because the weather is bad. But I have about 50 folks around the world who are going to send me images, and I'm going to make a video montage. If somebody wants to do that for me and send them to me, it's Allwriter, AWEWRITER @gmail. Allwriter@gmail.com, and contact me on my YouTube some way. Contact me, and I'll take them and I'll put them in the montage. So help me out, because this whole process has been a group learning experience. And basically what's happening is, from my point of view and from my short list and my long list, is I'm personally weeding out what's important to me and who am I going to go to for the real information. Because I feel right now, which is I'm happy about, if something was to go amiss, that my hands are in enough pots that I think I could honestly say I would find out and be able to report to my friends, which, is valuable. And that's why I'm out here trying to do all this. And people are saying the name, and I'm getting the contact. So let's connect. I put out a lot of information. I take in a lot of information. So that's a good thing about radio shows like The Front and things like this, because it's active. It's active out there. And I can't tell you that it's a scary reason why it's active out there, but I can tell you that I only have so many years on this earth to watch, so I'm watching closely.
Right. Well, now I listened to both of your shows with Richard on them, and I want to just address some things in case people also heard those shows and are left with those thoughts. Now he seems to think that it has a chance of impacting the moon.
He says the possibility is there. So basically what you do is you have an orbital path, and then you get a tolerance, a plus or minus number, plus 15,000 miles, plus, and my interpretation is that Richard's orbit has a lot more tolerance than mine. My orbit is a little bit more aerospace, and Richard's orbit's a little bit mechanical, manual machinist.
Okay, all right. So you don't think it has any chance of hitting the moon yourself?
Not at this point, no, sir. Not after I learned today that the difference in orbit, the trackable orbit from last year to this year, was 200 meters. We're still talking about hundreds of thousands of miles, and 200 meters doesn't cut it, in my opinion.
Now, is that the orbit deviation that Richard referred to on the shows when he said that it had changed its trajectory or its orbit back on September 11th?
Richard's show was, I don't know what day it was on, but I believe my last solution was on the 4th. So Richard's show was before the 4th, so Richard must have been talking about different information that I got my solution from. So I didn't research every one of Richard's speaking points. But that is the gist of it. He just got a solution, and he's got a bigger tolerance. Like I said, he's and in that instance, if you take that view, you can, just like the cone of a hurricane, the cone of the asteroid would kind of clip the side of the moon in Richard's scenario. And his, Richard's been looking for life for 28 years. Any of these instances that he can add on, I think. I for one, I kind of give him the ability, because he's been there, he's been in the trenches. I don't know if he's heard it. I don't know how he's affected people, but for me, I've dealt with a lot worse people and a lot less invested people than Richard does. So it's, I have an open mind to consume everything. So Richard's got the moon in his cone of possibility. You understand the visual, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For my cone is like just.
Yeah, his has a little bit of wider swath to it.
A lot wider.
Now, if let's just say, just for the hell of it, it does hit the moon. That has no effect on us, right?
Okay.
Unless it's the Decepticons.
I'm gonna premise this, that by me speaking on what would occur, or what I think would occur, I'm somehow verifying something happening. I am not. But
no,
we
are not verifying anything. This is completely hypothetical. I'm asking as the host.
Let's do that. I like to think I'm a writer. I should try to be able to speak a visualization. So we have the moon and it's full. And the direction it's coming from, the asteroid, is away from the sun. It's not in between the moon and the sun. It's on the outside of the sun. So whatever side, if you know where the sun set, it's going to occur on the opposite side, the sun setting. And dependent on the type of strike. Now, you could have, if it struck and drug a long way, or if it pelted right into the side, you have different angles of approach, would create a different scenario. Someone tried to tell me it's going to happen on the dark side of the moon. It could hit it could hit both sides technically. If it wanted to drag, it could start at the full moon side, our side, and then drag around. But it can't hit just in the dark side to where we couldn't see it. Even if it hit like on the outside of the full moon and it created a plume, the plume would rise above the surface and we would see the plume. It would probably look cool if because you'd have the lighted side, and then off to the edge, you'd see a plume come out.
With the naked eye, you think we could see it?
Over an extended period of time, you have to talk about how long after the impact, and then how long is it going to, be sustainable. Richard again has a tolerance with his explanation that has a big cone of possibility. He believes that there will be things that could, fall back down onto Earth. And I even said to him, though, but Richard, if it's going to strike the moon, it's moving away from the Earth, because it passes by the Earth first and then gets to the moon. And the trajectory of the impact, if it's a glancing, dragging slide, it's going to carry it all away from the Earth and the moon. It would have to, in Richard's scenario, strike the center of the moon, which means it's going to have to come around the Earth a little bit and then straighten out and get the moon right in the center.
Right, it'd have to be a dead-on hit in order to expel that debris directly back at us.
I'm not ever going to talk about the magic bullet, but that's just what came to my head. It's going to have to be something like that. It's going to have to dodge 25 things and hit 3 things to be what that tolerance is giving you. But let's just say that the event was an event where an asteroid hit the moon in this instance, and it hit it on the lighted side. It would look like probably a smoke ring, something like that. I don't know if it would be a ring, but it would, to us, it's going to knock up. It would knock up a plume of dust. And in my opinion, and the distance away, we wouldn't know by our vantage point with our naked eyes how serious it was without the aid of something to zoom in closer. Okay. So a telescope might know, hey, that took a big wonkin' chunk. But I also found out from Richard, listen, there's a big crater there called Tycho. Tycho was a friend of Kepler. It goes back. It's a very important. That crater's enormous. Richard has said through his.
Tycho is a crater on the moon.
Yeah, it's the one that has the arms that reach away from it. It's that part of the moon where everything reaches away from it, right? And Richard said, the aircraft carrier is not even going to approach that. That's why Richard says, this thing can hit the moon, no problem. He's going to say, but we're going to get a spectacular view. And then Richard's going on in his head probably saying, well, if it hits Earth, then maybe it could just be aliens too, and then that would support all my historical texts. I'm sorry for that telephone. I just hung up on somebody. If you're on the other end of that telephone, I half apologize because I'm live. But listen, the truth be told, the real crux of the matter is there was an orbit calculated of the asteroid's path back in 2010. Mm-hmm. The orbit includes all the gravitational influences that it may go by on its way, which includes the gravitational influence of the Earth, which has been, which they know already. They've got that math. And the gravitational influence of the moon, they have that math too. They put all that information in to get an orbital path of the object. All that stuff is already in there. So people can't say, well, what if the Earth pulls it? Or what if the moon pulls it? Something out of the ordinary has to occur now for this thing to do anything but fly by. That is the important message that everyone needs to take in. There are people who have a wider tolerance, a wider understanding. I have a closer tolerance of what I'm going to speak about. And I don't speak lightly either. I don't say just to get people off what other people are saying. I just tell you the truth, and that's the way it is. Other than that, amateur astronomers can contact me. Send me a picture after Tuesday and Wednesday night and show me what you saw, and I'll put it in a video. You can reach me on Facebook, YouTube, or email. You will start in the East Coast looking for the star Altair at 6:28 p.m. And then if you're facing the southwest and pointing at Altair from that time until 4 a.m. in the morning, give or take, that asteroid will move from Altair to the left in an arc toward the moon, and that's the path you want to take. If you have a camera and you're trying to catch a picture of it, find the Markab and Sheet stars and take images of that all night long. Add a little exposure. Do 10, 15, 20-second exposures all night long. You might catch it as a streak moving across the picture.
But as a person going out there to look at it, if I go out there, it's right before 6:28 tomorrow, and I'm out there looking up in the sky with my binoculars, and it's getting cold out, and I'm out there for 15 or 20 minutes. You're saying I should probably stay out there until about 4 a.m. the next morning if I really want a chance to see it?
No. Let's stop it where you said that.
Okay.
No. If you're out there at that time looking and it's getting cold and you're looking at the sky, you saw it. Go back inside.
Okay. All right.
There's nothing wrong with that because the next day there's going to be pictures. And now if you want to wait until the moon zone, because people are interested in, well, when's it going to hit the moon?
Right.
Then you're going to have to wait up till 4 a.m. So if you wait until later.
So you said 2:30. Is it 2:30 or is it 4 a.m.?
1 second. Let me go back because it's my time zones that have it.
Because I'll set my alarm, Francis.
No, I know. I have the time, and I have to go for my own self. I have it here. It's in this long document. Okay. 6:28 tomorrow, East Coast time is when it passes Earth. And then it's the 2:14 in the morning. 2:14.
All right.
2:14 a.m. There it is. I found it. I gotta get glasses. My eyes. I'm getting old, everybody. But 2:14.
We all are, Francis. We all are.
2:14 a.m. for the East Coast, and now the moon. You're going to see that 2:14 a.m. The moon's going to be toward the west. You're going to be facing the west now. The moon will be kind of, getting toward the horizon, and that's where it's going to make its pass with the moon. So that's where people will be imaging the moon probably from 2 o'clock a.m. to 2:30 a.m. in the west, hoping for something to happen. The only unfortunate thing I have to say is that the moon is full, and you're probably not going to see it with a camera. But like I said before, if you go out at a certain time, you find that general area of space, and you get cold, go back inside, get warm, because you've seen it. You've seen it just like everyone else has, and we're just going to wait for. I'm going to collect my images, and I'm sure we're going to get something. I'm kind of excited, and I have no idea what we're going to see, so that's probably the bonus at the end.
Okay.
Nothing's going to happen, and then we got something new to look at.
So, in the beginning of the show, you said it's pretty much a non-event.
No, that's kind of lame. That's a lame.
Well, you said it. I'm just asking.
I know I did.
And now you're saying that you're excited about it. So I'm trying to get a feel for where you're coming. I think that you are always open-minded to something happening, but you don't want to embellish it, like other people might.
I am excited about the feedback from all the people that are a part of it. That's what I'm excited about. Not about the event, because it's still a non-event. I'm right in my phrasing of non-event, because it's an event that doesn't cause another event. It's just a passage of the asteroid. But what I'm excited about is everyone's paying attention, and I've made all these connections, and we're hopefully going to have new images to look at, which is exciting to me.
Well, it is very odd. I mean, for a non-event. For it to even be on mainstream news. Was Ellen even on mainstream news? I mean, I don't.
No, not like this.
And so don't you, like you said, I find that very odd too. And here's a couple things. Now, I heard
Elenin was a big non-event, though. I mean, Elenin was way out there.
Well, you have to get into interdimensional physics, Francis.
Well, we're not. I mean, somebody called it a brown dwarf, and that's where Elenin got the bad rap, man. That was somebody decided to say it was something other than what it was. In this case, what we have is an actual close pass asteroid, but to me, the direction and track of it is so well known that I can't take myself to saying it's going to do anything but follow its path. The mainstream news is picking up on it, maybe because of the proximity. The mainstream news might not have picked up on Comet Elenin. No, really, I'm lying. On Comet Elenin because it was so far away, and that's how I looked at it. I mean, I looked at the two objects totally different. They even have a different sense of fearness about them. Comet Elenin had major, extinction level event fear put on it, while this one's like, oh, it's coming close, really important, and we get to watch it. And then we have Richard Hoagland saying something else could happen, and it's important, but it's not. It's not what Comet Elenin or the brown dwarf it was supposed to be, could have been. Very strange. It hurts my head even to swim around in the spiral of all the information.
Well, here, the thing with all this stuff is this. I mean, with Elenin, you had all the similarities, all of these coincidences, all of these things that matched up with the movie Deep Impact. I mean, you can't deny that the similarities and the different aspects of it were. It was just crazy. You have the boy Leo in the movie discovers the comet. It's called Ellie for I'm not reading into it. I'm just saying, it's just, why do they have to do this to me, Francis? Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's that movie could have been there. It goes from that movie to that first person who makes the real association with an actual event. Because again, look at that Contact movie. Her name was Ellie too. Just saying it that way.
Well, did we lose you? Did I think I lost Francis. Did I lose myself? Let me see. Oh, I guess we're having a... Skype has dropped us. Am I still here solo? I'm not sure. I need a little voice monitor thing that shows that my voice is registering. Still have audio. Okay, so we just lost Francis. All right. Let me give Francis a call back. Okay, I am back. Francis dropped offline, and I am grabbing him right now. Hopefully it works.
Hey, my modem went down. I am so sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Weird. And now that I got so nervous about my modem going down, I think we were just talking about, the different, the non-event, the event, and the determination which is which.
Yeah. But I have a question. Like we don't have to go over Elenin because that's basically gone now, right?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay, your opinion's gone.
None of them.
All right. Now, with YU-55, I mean, you are aware of the things that are taking place tomorrow as well as this, right? You're aware of the emergency alert system at 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? The FEMA will take over every mechanical media object there is to give us some type of announcement. You're aware of that?
I'm aware that it started off at 3 minutes and it's now 30 seconds. I feel it's going to turn into an emergency broadcast system, regular deal.
Sure, probably.
It was supposed to be 3 minutes, and now all of a sudden it's changed back to 30 seconds, right, which is not enough time to really do anything.
Now, Are you also aware of the Pac Wave 11 drill that's starting to take place tomorrow?
The tsunami drill.
Yes, in every continent all on the Pacific Rim.
Yeah, and all the world's leaders are going to be in Hawaii too.
Right. Supposedly.
Well, yeah, I know who. I said that. I haven't confirmed that myself. I keep on taking these little headline segments and putting them into my mouth. I should watch out. But yeah, it's been told to me that they're going to be in Hawaii, and that might add credence to some event that's going to happen. And
right.
But I do understand that. I also understand that there was October 28th, which coincided with some other important dates. They had the big earthquake drill with all the school children in California. So, I mean, what is it a continuation? I mean, there's a lot of activity going on, but I'll tell you, I mean, we're on the second year of heavy activity, in my opinion, whether it be, I mean, fleets of white vans parked on airports in 2010 that disappear to now these drills, earthquake, tsunami. People, the scientists, if you ask them, the first answer out of their mouth would say, well, haven't you noticed we're having more tsunamis, or we've had 5 tsunamis, and that's the reason why we're doing all this. I mean, what can I say about it? I can't say that I believe that there's anything that's igniting them to have these drills. So
No, all I'm doing is just laying out some different things that are taking place along with the approach of YU-55. I'm just saying, look, the truth is, if anything was ever going to happen and the powers that be knew that, they would never tell us and we would never know. So all we can really do is just look at things like this, and we're left with speculation. That's all we're left with, unless you have actual data, like you say you have, about YU-55. And that's another question I have for you, is when you start looking at something like YU-55, do you have to start at a point where you have to use somebody else's data to begin with? And if so, could that data be skewed?
Okay. The answer in 2 parts, yes, I do use other people's data, and the main data that I use comes from the International Astronomical Union, which collects amateur astronomer observations and records them. It's where amateur astronomers go when they find objects, and that's where it goes first. We sometimes get a misconception that NASA is the end-all for all our space information, and if NASA doesn't say it, then nobody else is. Well, that's kind of not true, because the information first goes through the IAU before it gets to NASA. NASA has their scientists which confirm and support it. But let's go back, because you asked a question. What information do I have to use to find an object? I'll tell you. Unless I found the object myself, like let's say I was out one night and I was taking pictures with a telescope, and I went back and I looked at the pictures and I saw this object moving across the sky. Besides that object, there are other reference stars. I would have to take that image, find the reference stars, put it up against a catalog of moving objects near those stars, and either find out if it's an existing object or a new object. Even if I found the object myself, and someone else went and confirmed the orbit of that object, I would have to rely on that orbit to find the object again. And that's, as an amateur astronomer, non-scientific scientist, I'm still relying on the information from the IAU, to get coordinates to put into a telescope to find an object. As well as the Cosmic Obsession Observatory at home here in Texas, with both telescopes. If we want to find a particular object, we refer to Stellarium or Starry Nights Pro that collects the data of information about the orbits of objects in space, and they give us the coordinates to tell our telescope where to go. That to me seems pretty, to me that's the way it goes. But by you asking that, I'm wondering what is an astronomer to do to re-find an object? I suppose an astronomer would find an object, and he'd be able to, with his trigonometry, decode the the velocity and angle, and come up with his own orbital path. And then once he had the orbital path, he would be able to find the coordinates of where that object would be. That is, I mean, I don't know anybody who does. I don't know anybody who does that. I don't do that. So I do rely on other people's information. I even sometimes rely on other people's telescopes. But this was the point I wanted to make. When I use that information with Comet Elenin and the coordinates, those things took me to Comet Elenin every time, and I was able to take my pictures and follow it through space. I have to, as an astronomer in my heart, I have to trust some of the information and my own ability to get the right information to retrieve the data from space through a telescope that I want to. If I was being lied to, if they were able to play a hoax, a grand hoax on me over multiple evenings, I personally don't see anyone taking the time to do that to me, Francis Walsh, the amateur astronomer.
Well, no, I wouldn't think that they would. That would be a little paranoid. You know, I don't think they'd. That's like me when I hear strange things on my headset here during a show where I would think that the CIA was listening to me. No, I don't think I'm that important. Believe me. So, but I do hear other radio show hosts say that.
It's easy to discount things, and I try not to discount anything. That means at least I'm willing to go with anything, and somebody's got to try all the buttons. Somebody has to be there to do it. I don't make a point of making a fool of myself, so that's how we're just going to go with it. And then we have to do, just have a little faith, I guess.
So, well, Francis, so tomorrow is, for you as an astronomer, is tomorrow a big day for you? You're excited about it?
Tomorrow is, astronomically speaking, all the excitement and all the energy is coming from everyone who's involved, because I can't help to see how many people have been affected by this passage of asteroid YU-55. But when I step back a little bit and I look at it from an astronomical aspect, we're really getting worked up over, I just feel we got a lot of people, and like you said, it's important for everyone to get involved, and that's where all my excitement is coming from. But I just, I just said, I don't want to cry wolf, or I don't want to hear wolf too many times. I just want to hear it's an interesting passage. Let's learn what we can from it. But people are getting steered one direction and to think one way or the other, and it's really straightforward, kind of, sort of, if you just take the important data that's publicly known.
All right, and so anything else? I don't really think there's too much else we have to cover as far as YU-55 goes. If anybody in chat has a question, throw it up now, or for whoever holds your peace. What was the other one you said that's coming in January of 2012?
There's another comet,
Levy?
Comet Levy, but I have initial reports that it's going to be a very insignificant comet as well. So, I mean, again, I don't know yet. I took pictures like 3 months ago, back when I knew, when I had the telescopes and it was high up in the sky. I saw it there, but they said that it might turn out to be another bunch of rocks as it passes by, but that we're going to have to learn. And nobody else is really screaming about it yet. So, but once asteroid YU-55 makes a safe pass, you'll start hearing that, because it's the obvious place to go.
Right. So that'll be next on the list of.
And I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll be there with all my cynicism and all my excitement. And like I said, all I can do is just say it as it is, and that's how I see it. I like Richard Hoagland, but he's got a big tolerance that I can't hang with.
Well, he makes for a great radio show.
I like it both ways, as long as I don't lose who I am. I do have to take a moment during each one and say, listen, Richard, I'm not really flying with you there, and because everyone just shouldn't get free rein. If we're going to be able to hear that, we got to have an advocate for the other side, and I feel that the advocate for the other side is actually the advocate for truth at this point.
Well, I think, like I said, that's why I like to have you on the show, because I don't think that the first time I spoke to you, you don't have an agenda. You tell things as far as the truth as you know it, and that's really all we can ask for.
And if I found something out, I'll be here. I'll tell you that too. I'm honest to God. People. I believe people believe that too.
I believe you.
If I was to make some discovery that got me rolling in a different direction, I would be out here in even more places telling you.
Right. No, I believe that you are that kind of guy. I don't think that you would give any type of disinfo or play anything down if it didn't need to be played down. So, and I think most people feel that way about you, Francis. You know, you see the comments and stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know?
We're all friends. We're all friends.
That's right. That's right. All right. Hey, buddy.
All right,
I know you have a busy night tonight on the radio. So,
yeah.
You have. I wanted to plug your YouTube page. What is it again?
It's The Perfect Minds. So it's YouTube.com/user/The Perfect Minds.
Okay.
And then my last video I uploaded about a couple hours ago is my Monday report on YU55, and it gives you more detail about where to look for it, and it's pretty good. So if you haven't been over there, check it out. If you're really interested in the asteroid, I'll give you a point of view.
Okay, all right, and you're going to be on a show in an hour, right? You're going to be on Bob Tuscan's show.
Yeah, with Bob Tuscan. I've never spoken with Bob, so it's going to be fun, and I'll see him there.
Is that Bob in my chat room? Bob, are you slumming? Yeah. Are you slumming on Blog Talk Radio, Bob? You slumming it up?
Hey,
all right.
It can't be the slum. I'm here.
He knows what I'm talking about. All right, Francis. Once again, man, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you on Wednesday after everything's over.
Yes, be good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother, take it easy. All right. So, there he goes, the most honest, upfront astronomer I've ever had the pleasure to speak with. So, hey, I guess we'll go outside tomorrow and check it out, and we'll all see, right? And we'll know better by Wednesday sunrise. So moving on from YU55, what I'm going to do is let me get into things I learned and things I experienced during the blackout of Halloween 2011. Let's see, I have a little list here. I do have articles to go over tonight, you guys, but originally Francis was going to spend a half hour on the program. He ended up spending an hour, so don't have much time left. I'm going to go over the list of what I experienced and during this 5 days of no power, being off the grid. Now, y'all know that I'm a bit of a prepper. And I have to say, it's paying off, okay, because I can't remember a year where we've lost power as frequently as we have. This past blizzard, whatever this thing was, why this happened, I don't know. More people died during this thing than they did when we had the F3 tornadoes come through. And for those of you that don't listen to the show or have just started listening to the show, I am in Massachusetts. I refer to it as FEMA Region 1. And we don't have tornadoes here. So when we had a couple F3 tornadoes traveling through the countryside for about 49 miles, causing massive havoc and destruction, mowing over the forest like it was grass, I expected, along with a lot of other people, lots of death because a friend of mine sent me a text, because I don't have the news, I don't have TV, sent me a text and said, hey, tornado warning. Just saw it on TV. And I checked my little weather app, and sure enough, there it was. So, my wife and I took the dogs. We got in the basement. Now, most people, and I would get in the basement because I'm expecting severe weather conditions to occur. I'm expecting them to get worse and worse, and I haven't been wrong about this. Not that I'm the only person that says this, but we that say this have not been wrong. I would imagine that not many people in this area would take that seriously. And the fact that I believe only two people died when these F3 tornadoes hit right at rush hour, afternoon rush hour, people going home. I expected a lot more death. There wasn't. Shocking. I think we had up to near 20 people die in this last snowstorm. They died from hypothermia in their homes, and they died from carbon monoxide poisoning from running generators. And those are the deaths that I recall reading about. What I can say about what happened this past time, that was very different was the response. Now, and I sound a little different tonight, you guys. I'm running a slight fever, a little bit sick, so I'm a little spaced out too. But when it was the response. Now, after the F3 tornadoes, we had military everywhere. The following morning, we couldn't leave the town. There was one road out of my town, one road. All the other roads were blocked by military checkpoints, okay? This is what they call them. Actually, they call them security checkpoints. These were being run by Massachusetts National Guard. FEMA was everywhere. State police were running security checkpoints, and so were Massachusetts Environmental Police. They were nowhere to be seen after this event. Now, this storm took place on a Saturday, and I didn't see any type of reaction or response to this until I'd say Monday, possibly. My wife and I were driving home about an hour away in the middle of the storm. I know, stupid, long story. I'm not going to go into it. But anyways, that's what we were doing. And I've never seen the roads that way in my life. It was as though it was the apocalypse, okay? And I'm serious. There was telephone poles broken in half laying in the road. There was wires, every 3 or 4 telephone poles, the wires were laying in the street, trees laying across roads. You had to drive around things, like you weren't driving straight down the road. It was like if you didn't have a good 4-wheel drive vehicle, you probably weren't getting anywhere. And like I said, no response. No response. Now I see a lot of people, there's an argument now. Oh, National Grid, that's the power company in this area. Was their response correct? Was it not correct? Was it correct? Was it not correct? I don't know. I don't know, because you can't blame the guys in the actual trucks. They don't make the decisions. They're just dispatched. But it's the people at the top that dispatch them. Now, I talked to a local police officer, and I also talked to a local National Grid guy, and I got the same response from both of them. When I asked about the non-response from, let's say, the National Guard, and FEMA, or lack thereof. Not that I'm a big fan of FEMA, but I figured if they wanted to stick their nose in our business after the tornado, they might want to do it here too. But they both gave me the same answer. It was, well, it's so widespread. And I'm thinking to myself, so widespread? What are you talking about? It's got a small slice of Massachusetts, so you could dispatch the Massachusetts National Guard to clear debris out of the road, like they advertise that they do on my radio, okay, because the National Guard does advertise on the radio, and they like to pat themselves on the back and tell us all the help they gave us during the tornado, when in reality they were just running security checkpoints. If anybody disagrees with that, please let me know, because I didn't see any National Guards people picking up branches, leaves, sticks, twigs, or anything like that. All I saw them doing was sitting outside their Humvees, not letting people go up roads. So it's just very odd. That was the official response. It was so widespread. Well, I'll have you know, there's still a few 100,000 people in this area that still have no power. We're going into day 10. Okay, I went to the grocery store yesterday. The shelves are not full. During the storm, my wife and I waited in a gas line outside a gas station. The gas station ran out of gas. Okay, there was gas lines everywhere. Everywhere. There was probably 50 people standing outside of Dunkin' Donuts trying to get a coffee, because that's all Dunkin' Donuts was serving was a coffee, which I thought was fairly pathetic that people would wait in line for their coffee like that, but I'm not a coffee drinker, so. What I saw was the incredible amount of dependency that we have on everything but ourselves. Many people did not know what to do with themselves. When I went out in public, you could see the look. By day 5, you could see the look in people's eyes. It was like a blank look for a lot of people. I mean, not everybody. I'm not saying everybody's walking around like a zombie, but when you can just see it and you can feel it, and people are they're out of sorts, you know. And during this blackout, I happened to be reading. I read the book 1 Second After. And it was about, if those of you don't know what the book is about, it's about an EMP attack over the United States. And if you don't know what EMP will do, it will basically fry all electrical circuits. So it was about an EMP attack over the United States and basically knocking out the entire grid across the country. The book, it takes place over the course of a year. Well, it was pretty good timing for me to read that book while the grid was down in my area, because it was, again, highlighting the enormous dependency that we have. And I don't mean just on power alone, everybody. I mean with things like medications, psychotropic drugs, things like that. I mean, when we start to get into what has happened to our society, what our supposed leaders have allowed to happen, in our food chains, in our medicines, and I use the term medicine lightly, vaccine programs, all of these things that deplete our immune systems, causing the incredible spike in diabetes and cancer. Now, those people, in my opinion, have been set up to fail. When we have a 200% increase projected by the American Medical Association a couple years ago, a 200% increase over the next decade in cancer and diabetes. And I read about the grid going down, and I hear releases from NASA concerning solar maximum and the high probability of getting whacked by very intense solar storms, which would cause an EMP effect, fry the grid. Those people will die within days. So you start to look at population. And we just hit, 7 billion people on the planet? One thing the book highlighted, now the book was not accurate in a lot of things. One thing the book did not address at all was the fact that there would be nuclear meltdowns in every single nuke plant on the continent. And that would be a whole different book. I think the lack of insulin and psychotropic drugs would be the least of our worries at that point. So it didn't even address that. So there's where the book failed to be in any way realistic. But reading about, and this is something I've thought about in a shit hit the fan scenario or a grid going down scenario, I've always had a problem with the amount of people on antidepressants, and what would those people be like if they had to stop cold turkey because they couldn't get their drugs any longer. You know, those people, it would be like one of three things. It would be, they'd either be there would either be a danger to themselves or to other people, or they would be kind of out of their minds. You know, and when I say a danger, I mean violent, in a violent way. They could be seen as crazy or think they're going crazy. I mean, I've told this story a couple times on the show. I had a friend of mine that quit his, and I cannot remember the type of drug he was on, the name of it. It's a popular antidepressant. He quit it cold turkey. His personality changed like that. He was almost crying to me, physically crying, that his brain felt like it was shaking inside of his skull. And he was sitting on his toilet with a shotgun in his mouth. That's not how my friend used to act until he quit his antidepressants cold turkey. Excuse me, people. So at that point, I realized what a liability that is. That's a person that you cannot have around you, unfortunately. That's just the way. Was it a Fexer? It might have been a Fexer. It might have been a Fexer. But regardless, whatever it was. So it just made me realize how we've become so dependent on so many things to be able to continue our lives. And the point that it really drove home to me was this. We all have to take responsibility for ourselves. Man, I'm sorry, you guys. We all have to take responsibility for ourselves, and I don't mean that in like a fatherly way. What I mean is, we have to become as self-sufficient as possible, as self-reliant as we possibly can, because what that allows us to do is A, not be a burden on other people, and B, allows us to help other people. And that's the bottom line. One of my good friends is he's part of the school system in the area, and in the high school he works in, he was doing the high school was set up as a shelter, and it was pretty full, I guess. And the same thing, one of my clients today that I was talking to was telling me about the what school near her was being used as a shelter. That's dependency. And I understand that it's hard if you live in an apartment complex and you cannot have something like a wood stove to keep you warm or something like that. I understand all these things, but this is how we've been kind of corralled, conformed. And in my opinion, I hate to say it, but I really feel this way. I truly feel that we as a nation, and all, I would say, first world countries, if we're going to still consider ourselves that, have been set up to fail in pretty much every way. I'm not going to get into the whole economic thing on this show because I only have a few minutes left, but we all know where that's going, so we can look at that. But I mean, look at our infrastructure and the electronic sources that we rely on. Now, back in the day, when my phone used to attach to the wall by a long squiggly cord, that wouldn't go out when the power went down. So if I needed help, I could still call somebody. Now, in the modern age of these smartphones, which I have, not proud of it, but I have it, this thing was useless during the whole 5 days off the grid for me. No service, complete lack of service. I could get out a couple texts here and there, but trying to hold a phone conversation, forget it. Trying to get online to get any information, forget it. None of that stuff works. So, if science and the powers that be, however, whatever you want to call those people, politicians, Washington, the government, people above them, whatever, if they're all aware that we're heading into something called the solar maximum, that they say is going to be the most intense solar maximum in the, couple hundred years, and they know the potential for electronic failure, grid failure, due to magnetic storms, why do we continue on with this weak technology? And why aren't we taking measures to solidify the grid, ground transformers? We're not. So, in my opinion, my humble opinion on this program, it just seems to me that we have been set up. And again, the most obvious way we've been set up is financially. I mean, if you can't see how we've been set up since the day one with the Federal Reserve back in 1913, then I don't know. You probably watch Fox News or MSNBC, and you probably take that as truth or something. I don't really know what you do, but if you can't see it, it's and another way I look at this setup is if you look at a map of the United States and you look at all the nuclear facilities around the country, I wish I could go back to when nuclear energy was being introduced to us. I wish I could hear all of the hoopla and how wonderful nuclear energy was going to be for all of us. Because I bet it was fairly grandiose. I'm just going to guess. I don't know. I wasn't old enough to care about it then. I was too busy probably running around in the woods looking for hobbits, which is probably something I still do. But I bet it was fairly grandiose. And look at where nuclear technology has gotten us now. It's poisoning us on a daily basis from Fukushima. You know, many of us will probably die in the next 10 years of some horrible cancer strains due to this stuff. That's all I could think about when I had the snow falling around me in the blizzard was, is this all radioactive snow around me? I don't know. I have no way to measure radiation. I wish I did, because I would, and I would have told you about it. But you know, you look at it, and is anybody's power getting cheaper? Did our our electric bills get cheaper because of nuclear energy? Are we safer? No, it's actually the opposite of all of those things. So again, it always brings me back to the question: are the powers that be, the people that pass legislation, the people that write legislation, the people that introduce legislation, are they really that ignorant and stupid, or is it just one big, giant conspiracy theory? Or conspiracy, not a theory. I don't know. I guess we'll really never know the answer to that question. But the one thing we can derive from that question is this. Either way, we, the people, have to do something about it. Because if our leaders are that ignorant and stupid, well, we only have ourselves to blame for allowing them to continue sitting where they're sitting. And I don't mean voting process people. I have no faith in the voting process. That's why I'm not a big Ron Paul flag waver. Sorry, just not. I just remember Dallas, so, you know, bullet in the head. Anyway, it just seems to me that if that is the case, then we are really to blame. And like I said, if we're going to become more self-reliant and more self-sufficient and not so dependent on outside sources to keep us alive, I mean, how unnerving is that? How unnerving is that you are dependent on the system to keep you living? That's scary. Okay? And I am too. I am at this point. When the power went out, my big downfall is water. That's my big downfall. If I had enough stored water, or I had a way to get water to drink to keep me alive, then I could stay where I am for a very long time, and I wouldn't need the grid. I wouldn't need anything. But the water for me is the big issue. For other people, it's heat. I do have a question. This is going to sound really dumb, but hey, I don't mind asking dumb questions. If anybody can answer this, and it's probably really obvious, and I'll feel stupid after I say it, but what the hell. Luckily, my friend close by, he has town sewer and water. So when the grid goes down, his faucet still runs. Mine doesn't, because I have a well. So I would go over to his house and fill up 5-gallon buckets, throw a cap on them, drive them back to my house. How, with the grid down, how is that water still getting pumped through the system? How is that water still getting pumped through the system without electricity? So, somebody can answer that, let me know. And the reason I'm asking is that for my friends and for people with town water, sewer and water, that think that, hey, they're all set, if the power goes out, they can still get their water. I'm wondering what has to happen to make that not happen. Is it gravity fed? I was wondering that. If it was a gravity fed system. I know some parts of the town near me are gravity fed, but I didn't know if it covered everything. And if I was a person that had town sewer and water, I would want to know exactly how that water is making it to my house, so that I knew how to deal with an event that would negate that for me. So that's the reason I asked that question. Whatever. I don't care about asking dumb questions. Yes, but eventually the water tower will run out of water, right? I believe eyes wide open in chat. You are gravity fed. We know where your tank is. But yes, that's true. My dogs would not drink the town water. What do you think about that? Which is crazy because they'll eat some pretty gross stuff off the ground. So that must be, it's kind of like a fly won't eat margarine, you know? All right. Let me see. I babbled too much here. Yes. Another thing, generators. I'm not a big believer in generators. I think if we hit a real shit hit the fan scenario and you have a generator, you're making yourself an open target, and you're going to leave yourself, you'll probably get shot. Honestly, nothing pisses you off more than when you're waiting in a gas line, you see a guy fill up his truck and then he fills up 5-gallon gas tanks, as there's a gas line a half mile down the road. I swear, people would want to shoot you. Also, if I hear your generator running all night and I'm freezing my ass off, I'm coming to take it from you. So I'm not a big believer in the gas-powered generators. The other thing, solar generator, that's another story. Yes, good point. Definitely solar generator. One thing I did pick up during the whole blackout was I picked up a Coleman headlamp from Walmart for $15. Let me tell you, that's a nice preparedness item. A headlamp. All right? Because think about it, people. If you have a flashlight in your hand and you're stumbling around, how many times do you look for a place to balance your flashlight on so it's right in the right spot? Or what if you drop your flashlight? $15, an LED Coleman headlamp. Awesome, man. Yeah, you look like a nerd, but what the hell? But I'll tell you, when you wear it, it's like it's pretty cool. You're walking through the dark, and it's like you have this beam of light coming out of your head. Everywhere you turn, it lights up. I don't know. I was easily entertained, I guess. I'm gonna put up a picture of the Coleman headlamps so you guys can see what it looks like. But they are excellent preparedness items for $15. You can't go wrong. LED, it'll last forever. I think this thing runs on 2 AA's. Excellent, excellent little item. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the YU-55 Eve update from astronomer extraordinaire Francis Walsh. Good guy. And my ramblings to finish off the show. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm a little punchy. My recall kind of sucks. But we're already working on a good show for Thursday. We'll be talking about what the country known as the United States really is. I know we've talked about that quite often on this program, but we're going to delve into some other aspects of it. So, on that note, everybody, I would like to leave you with the normal words of wisdom from the program. I want to apologize for being gone for 14 days. Wasn't my desire, but it's just the way things worked out. So, anyways, I will see you all on Thursday, 6 p.m. Thank you guys for being here. Go out, check out YU-55 tomorrow night. Hey, you never know, right? You never know. Never know. All right, everybody. Good night. Be safe.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.